So one of our viewers on this YouTube channel, TAPAS, has asked me a question about sadhana, and he wants to know why there are so many problems in a sadhaka's life, and he also wants to know how long it will continue. So let's begin.
You are watching Reflections on Reality.
Discover the newest books from our collection. The Heart of Everything, a spiritual memoir, and Abhinava Vijayam, a dharmic magnum opus, both written by a gifted author, Kanchi.
So first we have to understand what is sadhana. Sadhana is nothing but the spiritual path, right? So what is the spiritual path? What does it entail? So if you are seeking truth about yourself, about the universe, you want to know what is the reality of the universe, what is the truth of your existence. If you're looking for purpose, why am I here? Why am I alive? Why was I born? What is the need to be born? Yeah. So if you're seeking purpose, if you're seeking meaning in this existence, this cannot be nothing, right? There has to be more, there has to be something more to life. So if you're seeking meaning, if you're seeking truth, if you're seeking purpose, and you're seeking peace and happiness, right? We want peace. See, why do we do all the things we do? We're seeking some joy, right? If you're drinking coffee, you want some joy in life. If you're going to sleep, you want peace, right? You want to get married because you think that will bring you happiness. You want to, earn some money so it will give you some amount of security in life. So all these things, we are doing everything we do is for the sake of happiness. And why we seek happiness is because when we find happiness, we are at peace with ourselves. Yes, we have achieved this. Okay, we have some amount of happiness, and then we have peace, that is a result of that happiness, and we are at peace. Generally, this is in the very materialistic terms. This is the spiritual path, right? The path is we're looking for peace, we're looking for happiness, we're looking for meaning, purpose in life. But what is the difference between this spiritual path and the path of materialism, or just a daily life, how we are existing, how we live? The path of materialism is we are seeking love in a woman, we are seeking love in our children, in my mother, in my father, whatever. We are seeking love in the outside objects, right? We are seeking happiness by buying a car, by earning more money, by, let's say, traveling abroad or traveling and taking a vacation. We are seeking happiness in some outside thing, by buying a house, all these things. So everything that we seek from material objects is the path of materialism. Now, what is the difference between materialism and spirituality? Spirituality is that where you are not seeking from the outside. You want peace, you become self reliant, you look within for peace. You don't look for peace outside. You don't say, I will go to a forest and I will find peace there. Because the spiritual seeker has been told, maybe he does not know as yet, he has been told that the real peace lies within, real happiness lies within. So, this is the spiritual path. The spiritual path is exploration of the spirit, self discovery, right? And this is the path of the rishis of, your our rishis, whether Vishwamitra, Vashishta, all these people were seeking peace only. Rishis like Markandeya Rishi, right? Vedavyasa, all these people were seeking this truth, and they are those people who attain this truth, so to say. So, whatever is found in the material path, in the path of materialism, is temporary, because life is temporary. Soon you will leave the body, right? Or the wife will leave you, or your children grow up and they move on. Car is temporary. Everything you attain, we know that if we buy something, the joy arising from that object is temporary. There is no joy that is permanent from material objects. Right? That is why we seek the path of spirituality, because we want lasting peace. We want that peace that does not come and go. And this can only be achieved by realizing the self. Right? So this is the path of self-realization. This is the path of awakening. This is the, so to simplify it, we can call it the spiritual path, the path of the spirit. It is said that the spiritual seeker does not choose the path, right? The Shastras declare that the spiritual seeker does not choose the path. He is the chosen one, right? The path chooses him. So they say you cannot attain Brahman. Brahman swallows you whole, right? So the ultimate reality or truth, or what we say Atman, you cannot choose to become the Atman. The Atman, or this sense of Atma Sakshatkara, this attainment of non-duality, it chooses the individual, right? Based on Purva Samskaras, based on your past life, Punyas, good merits and all those things, right? So the spiritual seekers are not the ones who are choosing the path. The spiritual seekers themselves are the chosen ones, right? So this is the thing. So why do we struggle? A lot of spiritual seekers have this idea that the path of spirituality is very difficult and the path of materialism is very easy, right? They think, or they feel that once they're on the path of spirituality, they end up struggling much more with just daily life than those people who are enjoying the world outside. So I mean, there are so many examples of people, like my own friends and people around me also, people who are on the path. They're constantly comparing themselves to the world outside and say that person is enjoying life, that person is partying, he seems to be happy, and that happiness seems to be permanent. But whereas I'm struggling, I'm trying to meditate, I am doing my spiritual practices, but I am not able to find this happiness, right? So today the idea is we want to go deep into this and try to understand the struggles of the spiritual seeker, why we struggle, and how do we overcome these struggles. So the first thing is, why do we struggle? Nothing in the world comes free. There is no such thing as a free lunch. There is no such thing as easy, you attain this easily. So especially when you are seeking the ultimate. See, spirituality, attaining the self, is seeking the ultimate. This is the path of the Devatas. This is the path of the Rishis. Even goddess Parvati came to Bhuloka, came to our earth to meditate on Shiva and to attain oneness with Shiva. This happened on the foothills of Arunachala mountain, right? So the Arunachala Mahatmya, all these books talk about goddess Parvati herself coming to Bhuloka, coming to our realm to meditate on Shiva. So the story goes that she came and she got Diksha from Gautama Muni, who was on the southern slopes of Arunachala. He had a hermitage there, and she got Diksha, that is initiation, from Gautama Muni, and then meditated on Lord Shiva, who is already her husband, and because she didn't want to be separated from him, right? So, and then she attained oneness with Shiva. So, this is the story of how Shiva Parvati became one in one body, and they became what is today known as Ardhanareshwara, that is half woman, half man form of Shiva, right? So this is the story of that. Not only Parvati, even Skanda, son of Shiva and Parvati, he came and he did intense tapas. He practiced austerities in India, in ancient Bharata, and he attained. So even for someone like Skanda, who is the son of Shiva, even he had to struggle. He had to go through so many things in order to attain. Parvati had to do. She meditated for many years and then only attained austerities by meditating on the self. So if the devatas themselves have to practice, they would have obviously gone through a lot of hardships in order to attain. So we are mere mortals. Can't we struggle a little bit in order to attain this? Right? So even devatas like Indra, Agni, Varuna, Vayu, there are enough stories in the Puranas where all these people, all these devatas came to Bhuloka. See, Bhuloka is the, it's called Mrityuloka. So it has death, whereas Devaloka, whereas Swarga, that is the abode of the gods, it does not have Mrityu. There is no such thing as death there, like the way we die here, right? So it is called Mrityuloka. So many people are cursed to be born in Bhuloka, and then many devatas actually chose to be born in Bhuloka because it is a Mishran. It has the good and the bad. Whereas in Devaloka, you only have pleasures. You have more and more pleasures. And they realize that by just indulging in these pleasures, you are more, sucked into it, or you become more addicted to the life of pleasures, and you cannot enjoy or you cannot attain self-realization. So they say Bhuloka is the best place to attain self-realization. So whoever, all the devatas, they come to Bhuloka to do dhyana. They say even Shiva, Vishnu, there are places like Varanasi, there are places like Arunachala Kshetra and Tiruvannamalai. So many kshetras, Badrikashrama, right? There are so many places on this earth where devatas themselves, apsaras, kinnaras, yakshas, all these different levels of beings, they take birth on this planet and to do dhyana. And it is said out of the 4 yugas, there are 4 yugas. Everybody knows Treta Yuga, Satyug Treta Yuga, and Dwapara Yuga and Kali Yuga. They say Kali Yuga is the best. What took 1,000 years during Treta Yuga will take merely 100 years during Dwapara Yuga. That was the time of Krishna, when Krishna took his birth on this planet. And they say what took 100 years can be attained even in 1 year in Kali Yuga. So Kali Yuga, it is fastened. Everything is faster here, right? So everything can be attained with lesser deliberation. So this is the speciality of this Kali Yuga. Though they say that in Kali Yuga, Dharma is standing on only one leg, but when it comes to sadhana, when it comes to attaining self-realization, it is much simpler now than it was in earlier Yuga. So we are blessed to be in this time and this place, right? That is Bhuloka. Spiritual seekers, what do they struggle with? So there are two factors. Very simple, we can put it. That is external factors, and then there is the internal struggles, right? In the external factors, we have families, and we have the physical problems, and then we have society as a whole. See, today if you want to go out and get a drink, let's say you want to get a beer, you will find friends very easily who want to drink with you, or you want to go to a bar. I'm not condemning these things, but I'm saying it is much easier to find peers who are interested in drinking or smoking and partying and all these things, or you want to discuss finances, you want to discuss, like, say, let's say cars or anything, you will find 100 people for that. You will find a lot of people. But the same way, if you want to discuss spirituality, you want to talk about spiritual, or you want to study spiritual subjects, or you want to understand something deeper in a deeper way, it is very hard to find friends like that. It is very hard to find peers or your colleagues or friends, family, who will understand where you're coming from. So if you're seeking, let's say, I want to talk about Brahman, you have some doubts about Brahman, or you have some doubts about karma, why am I behaving in a certain way? Where do you find these answers, right? You can look at books, but for you to discuss with somebody and get what do you say, go deeper into the subject, it's much harder. So, and not only that, families, at least in India, they look down upon the spiritual path. In many families, even I have seen, not in my own case, I've been very lucky that my parents always supported, and they always felt, even when I was ignoring my daily duties, when I was ignoring my work or my finances, they were always supportive. They said, no, they always felt like first you discover, or you understand who you are or what you want to do. So it is very, very much essential to find the support group, whether it's friends, whether it's your wife or your husband, your children or your parents, whatever it is, whoever they are, a good group around you who can help you. But generally speaking, it is not so, because people give a very high regard for money, right? Because only when you have money, you are said to be settled in this world, right? Only when you have money, when you have a secure job, let's say you have your own house, you have all these things ticked, all these boxes ticked, you're married, you have kids. Only when you have all these boxes ticked are you settled, so to say. So let's say you're meditating 3 hours a day, people will look down upon that. It's very rare that people will come and say, oh, you're doing a great job, continue this, right? So that is one of the obstacles, I can say. Family and society as a whole, society itself looks, I won't say looks down, but there is no real space for people like this in the society, especially for people like me and you who are on the spiritual path, but not yet sannyasis, or we are not renunciates, we have not taken up sannyas or given up the world. We are living in the world and still practicing meditation, still reading spiritual books or whatever, going to temples or going to ashrams, going to retreats and practicing. If you're a serious spiritual seeker and you're not yet taken up sannyas, it is kind of like a transitory space, because people expect, my own people, my relatives would tell me that you have you have each like in two separate boats, right? One is the boat of materialism and one is the boat of spirituality. They would say that they are going in two different directions. So you are neither completely spiritual or neither, nor are you completely materialistic. You are not, doing enough of both. So this kind of criticism, these kind of people will continue to be there, and they will speak, even if you are working, let's say, in an IT company, they will find ways to criticize you or put you down. So this is common for both the path of materialism and spirituality. You have society that will look down or look at you like you're strange. So this is something we must accept, and this is part of the process. So these are all external things. And then we have obviously family. We have spouses who don't agree. Suppose you want to go to Varanasi and you want to spend 15 days over there. Your husband obviously is not going to be happy, because he might not be interested in doing these things, right? So he might find it odd that a woman in her 30s is going to Varanasi on her own and going to meditate on the ghats there. So these kind of things exist. I'm not telling that he's wrong or he's right. I'm just saying that these kind of struggles and these kind of friction is going to be there. Then this is an external, these are all external factors. So, and then we have the internal factors. So there are three main internal factors. One is emotional upheavals, the second is mental blocks, and third is physical and physiological changes. So what are emotional upheavals? Suppose we are meditating and there comes a time when you are going through a lot, right? So when you're meditating and let's say you're focusing, let's say we're meditating on any of the chakras in our body, right? Our practice involves us meditating on a specific chakra or a specific point, a specific space in our body. What happens is these kind of locations on the body, they contain something called vasanas. They contain something called samskaras actually. Samskaras are past life tendencies, right? They are latent tendencies that are hidden in our even physical body. So even your, like, there are all these chakras, right? It's not just in the chakras. Throughout our body, see, our entire body is consciousness. So wherever we are meditating, it is part of the consciousness, and it is purva samskaras or tendencies from past lives are embedded in these in the body, right? Even mind, let's say I'm meditating on love. So when you're meditating on this concept of love, even there are certain tendencies related to love from past life. Suppose you had severe breakups in your past life and you had some trauma related to love. So when you're meditating on love, these kind of tendencies or these kind of samskaras are released, right? So there is a sudden opening up. So whatever you meditate on, basically, in your body or in your mind or anything, whatever you meditate on, it opens up. If your practice is correct, if you're practicing the right way with equanimity and you're looking at a certain sensation, in that sensation there is the samskaras are embedded in that sensation. So when you're looking, that opens up, and when it opens up, if it's a good, let's say it's a good latent tendency, then maybe you'll enjoy some joy, some peace, some release of some hidden talent or hidden intelligence, something that you have learned in your past life, right? But there are a lot of emotional things that are hidden. See, first thing, what do we do? Some trauma, we don't want to deal with it, we suppress it. So what happens when a person starts meditating? The first thing that happens is those suppressed emotions come out, right? So as soon as you start meditating, and even in the beginning stages, I'm not even saying much later, even in the beginning stages, when a serious seeker or when a meditator starts meditating and he starts looking at certain sensations in the body, these things slowly open up. And depending on our luck, we don't know how these things work. Depending on your thing, the force can be a lot or very light. So suddenly what happens, some people are very aroused. They become aroused, they become like very sexualized because of meditation. Some people become very angry. Some people become extremely irritable. Some people get, something that is hidden, something that is deeply hidden. They become very hateful, or suddenly their personality changes because of these things. And first thing we must understand is that we are releasing hidden emotions. We are releasing suppressed emotions. It doesn't have to be even past life, even in this own life, your childhood traumas, all these things are suppressed in our subconsciousness and subconscious. And as soon as we start meditating on this, when the mind becomes subtle enough to penetrate through the conscious state of mind, you end up touching these wounds, right, so to say. And these wounds, as soon as you touch them, they open up. And as soon as they open up, in a way, all hell breaks loose. So we must understand that it is not permanent. The emotion upheaval will come and then it will disappear. For some time it will come. So but as soon as it opens up and we start reacting to it negatively, then we make it worse. Suppose many people say I'm meditating, but now I'm more angry after I started meditation. I'm getting more angry after meditation, or I'm getting very irritable after meditating. I'm getting very irritated by people. I cannot stand people around me. All these are all stages on the path, and most of it has to do with this sudden opening up of emotional things. So there could be emotional turmoil, and it is, to a large extent, it is because you have touched something. It's very good. You have touched some trauma, it's coming out, it's very good. Better outside than inside, right? Release it. You will be free of that bondage. So that is the first thing. Second thing is, people go through physical pains and blocks, right? Even me, when I was maybe 19 or 20, I would have severe headaches, chest pain, chest congestion, and I'm perfectly healthy. I would get scared because why am I having such terrible chest congestion, right? And then I would meditate. I would just look at it, and these congestions would open up, and I would have pains throughout the body. It is because even though you're meditating, your daily life is impure, right? You could be eating non-veg, or you could be having negative thoughts, or you're not yet found that balance, right? You could be, you're in an environment which is very negative. It's not a positive environment for your sadhana. And your thinking, so most important thing is, however the environment is, your thinking should be pure. But first thing, we have emotional upheaval. Second thing is physical blocks, physical pain in the body. Your legs start hurting a lot. You're not able to meditate at all. Your back starts hurting. You have all kinds of pain. So first thing is, make sure your posture is right. Never meditate in bad posture. Always keep your back straight, your spine straight, your neck slightly, your head must be bent. Close your eyes and meditate comfortably. Never sit in an uncomfortable position for long. And all, you have to maintain very good posture. That is only asana of, even the Maharishi Patanjali speaks about asana. So there are many different reasons, but one of the reasons is bad posture. But also, again, physical blocks happen because some things are coming out and it's not yet fully opened up, right? So not always your suppressed emotions or suppressed thoughts or suppressed energies cannot always find opening. Sometimes they get blocked for considerable time. It could be a year, it could be 2 years. I had a period when I used to feel, when I sat for meditation, I would feel like a black bar around here. And during this almost 1.5 years or 2 years, I could not think clearly. I would have lack of focus. I can't think clearly. And I was clearly seeing that this black bar was blocking my Agna chakra. This is the Agna chakra. And it was blocking. It was like a entire bar. And this, it continued to be there. No matter how deep I tried to go, no matter what, I would always have problems with this. But then came a time when then it just disappeared overnight, right? So it just disappeared overnight, and then a lot of things that were suppressed because of this, or that was blocked because of this, started opening up. The important thing is to continue your practice regardless of these things. If you give too much attention to blocks and say, I'm feeling blocked, so I'm going to stop meditating, or I'll try another meditation technique. So when you keep jumping, it is not a good uh, method. Whatever path you're on, or whatever technique you're on, first do your investigation, make sure it is a good path, think logically, think reasonably. Then once you decide on your path, once you decide on your guru, your technique, don't change it. See, digging a hole in 100 places, digging a 1 foot hole in 100 places, no use. You will not find water, right? You want to find water, you have to dig in one place and you have to go deep there in that place. So all paths can lead to the truth, right? But you must spend sufficient time, effort, energy you must expend in order to dig out that truth. So that is one thing. So we have emotional upheavals, then we have mental, physical blocks, and also, like I said, mental blocks. So something like this, it could be a there could be physical manifestations of the block or not. But mental blocks exist and they will stop you from going further in the path. Suppose you're meditating and you're constantly seeing like darkness or blankness. Suppose you're feeling sleepy, right? Continuously you're feeling sleepy while meditating. All these things are part of the process. These mental blocks will exist. Continue the process. Focus on the controllables. See, whatever appears in the body, whatever appears in the mind is not under your control. It's like, you might have heard of Kshira Samudra Manthan that was done by the Devatas and the Asuras. It is nothing but the spiritual path. See, it is your good vasanas, your good tendencies, good habits versus your negative habits. And constantly there is a conflict between these two, and it's going this way, that way. And the Meru of the Samudra Manthan is nothing but, Samudra Manthan is the churning of the ocean story, where the Devatas and the Asuras churned the ocean in order to get Amrita, in order to get the nectar of immortality. What is the nectar of immortality? It is the bliss of the self. It is self-realization. What are the Devatas? Devatas are your own good habits, your good tendencies, right? The Asuras are your negative tendencies, your lower base tendencies, your negative habit pattern, negative thoughts. So when the negative thoughts and the positive thoughts constantly, there is a conflict and the churning happens. And through this churning, this is the spiritual path. Through this churning, you will find the bliss of immortality. That is Atma, that is the self, right? But what appears in any given moment, nobody knows. Even the Devatas didn't know, even the Asuras didn't know, right? So what appears, like even if you know the story, briefly I will tell you that during this churning, they found this poison called Hala, right? And Lord Shiva drank up this poison because nobody else was willing to drink this poison. Only after drinking this poison from the ocean, the churning could continue. Similarly, we must also drink up all the poison that appears in the spiritual path. On the spiritual path, whatever negative things come, just like Shiva swallowed it up and he became, see, Shiva, he said already is Mahadeva, he is the greatest of the Devatas, right? But by drinking that poison, he drank for the sake of the world. He said, let them drink the Amrita, I'll drink the poison. So this attitude you should have. Let the world do what it wants. Whatever troubles come my way, let me deal with it. Drinking the poison is, I will deal with this. Whatever appears on the spiritual path, so be it. So with this fearlessness, we must practice on the path and we must attain our goal, that is self-realization. So in order to vanquish, in order to destroy the obstacles on the path of self-realization, first we must understand what are the main enemies of self-realization, right? What are the main enemies for a spiritual seeker? And there are 6 main enemies. It's called Arishtavarga. So what is Arishtavarga? It is Kama, which is desire or lust, Krodha, which is anger, Lobha, which is greed, Moha, which is attachment, Mada, which is pride or ego, and Matsarya, which is jealousy. So let us first talk about Kama. What is Kama? Kama basically means lust or desire in the common sense. So what is desire? Anything that takes us away from the spiritual path is desire, right? Let's say complications. Let's say you already have a wife, you love your wife. You're not telling don't love your wife. But though you have a wife, you're looking at another woman and you're saying, okay, that woman is nice. Let me, try to pursue her as well. This not only creates complication in the material path in your married life, it also creates complications on the spiritual path. Right? So these kind of things which take you away. We are not telling give up what you have. Give up the desires of things that you already don't have, as in starting new enterprises. So complicating your life than how complicated it already is. So the idea of the spiritual path is to simplify life, simplify living. It is not to complicate life. Suppose you already have a business, now you want to add two more businesses. This is good. It's not that doing more businesses is bad, but will it give you sufficient time for the spiritual path? Is your mind free enough to meditate daily, right? Or to contemplate on spiritual ideas? Might not be. So you have to take a call on where you have to draw the line on desires. So the actual thing is, if you are a mumukshu is that person who only seeks self-realization. He does not seek anything else. Self-realization at the cost of everything. He is not interested in anything else. If you are a mumukshu, then desire must not be entertained at any cost. Any desire at any cost. Complete surrendering of desire must happen before you are on the path. But those of you, or those of who are watching now and who are leading ordinary lives, they're leading materialistic life, they have their life, families, and they have everything. You can still be a mumukshu by following dharma. If you are a father, do your duties as a father. If you are a husband, do your duties as a husband. If you are working in a company, do your duties as the CEO or as an employee, whatever it is. We are not telling shy away from your duties, but manage your desires. Desire management, right? If you have the desire for self-realization, let that be the main desire. Let that become the primary goal, and let anything else, any other desire, let it aid this path of self-inquiry and self-realization. Let it not become a contradictory force on this path to self-realization. So that is kama. Second thing we know is krodha, and then we have something called lobha, which is greed. See, greed and kama are in a way connected, but what is the difference between kama and lobha? Kama includes lust, right? Lobha is desire for more than we have. Suppose you are worth 100 crores, you want to make it 1000 crores, right? If you have two cars, you want to buy another two cars. This is lobha, greed, and wanting to have more than the other person, right? So these kind of things, this is lobha. Greed, unnecessary greed will make you imbalanced. Forget the spiritual path, even on the material path. See, whatever I'm saying is not just for spiritual path. It is for all people. Even if you are leading perfectly normal life and you're not seeking enlightenment, even then, greed will only take you away from balance. You will not find harmony with greed. We all know this. Similarly with krodha, anger. Whatever we do in anger results in the fruit also will cause you sadness, will cause you anger. Right? Anything done out of anger will never lead to anything good. If you do anything out of jealousy, nothing good is going to come out of it. If you do anything out of anger or hatred or greed or lust, we all know all the results of these things, just as the seed is, the fruit also will be like that. So it cannot lead you, any act out of lust is not going to give you peace or happiness, right? Anything done out of greed, anything done out of matsarya, that is jealousy. So all these things are there. And one of the main enemies of spiritual seeker is something called mada. Mada's pride, right? I am a spiritual seeker, right? I am a yogi. I am a gnani. There's nobody like me. How can you talk to me? Do you know who I am? This, see, if it's a coconut, it is very easy to break. So if the ego of a person is like a coconut, you break it once, it's broken. But if it's like a lemon, it's very difficult to squeeze out this ego. So a spiritual ego, I have met so many people on the spiritual path. I have been to so many ashrams and I spent a lot of time, my entire 20s and 30s, I have spent in many ashrams, meeting, spending years together with spiritual seekers, sincere spiritual seekers. And I noticed this. Yeah, I noticed this majority of people are into are have this subtle spiritual egos. They say, no, but I am very spiritual. I am a very good person. I have done nothing wrong. I am very nice. So this kind of spiritual ego, and they look down upon people who don't practice, let's say, meditation, or who don't have a guru, right? They look down as though they are inferior and I am superior, right? The superiority complex is there where they feel, and they patronize. So if they meet anybody, they patronize and say, listen, I will tell you how to be happy. I will tell you the right way to this, and that person is not asking. So this is unsolicited advice. And if you are a spiritual, you also would have. We're all, you can say we're all guilty of doing it one time or the other, right? But I know a lot of people who trust their ideas on other people, and this all comes from that ego like a lemon, which is very difficult to squeeze out. So it's better to be a ego like a coconut. It looks hard and it's very easy to break because it's done. Once you break it, it is done. But melons are very hard to squish and take that entire juice of the ego out. So this pride is a big enemy of a spiritual seeker, and this is not external. Your family, your society, the world outside, nobody can harm you as much as this mada, this pride. And there is also something called moha. So moha is illusory but also attachment, right? Let's say you're attached to your old tendencies. Say we are attached to our practices. So many people, they're nice, they are sincere seekers, but they are doing wrong practices. And they're aware also that their practice is wrong, but they're so attached to the practice, or they're so attached to the guru, that they will not live. There are plenty of examples where the guru has been arrested and gone to the jail for some whatever reason, some crime, some ashram, modern gurus, and still the disciples don't leave him, saying, no, no, he is very good. I am very. This is moha, because you have given up your logical thinking. You don't want to reason out and say, no, no, there is something wrong. See, it's very much possible that the guru is innocent. I am not telling in all cases, but we must inquire into it, and we must learn to let go. There is that fear of, guru droha. If I leave, I'll go to hell. All these things are there when a person is committing crimes or something like that, or even if the path is not proper, the path is, it is not helping you, then we must use. See, it is spirituality is not giving up reasoning. It's not giving up logic. You have to apply logic. You have to reason. You should know how to do critical thinking, right? We must never give up thinking critically to understand what is the situation. So, and then we have to come to the path where we say, okay, this technique, how is this, for example, how is this meditation technique helping me, or is there a way I can make it better, right? So logically we have to work, and so we should not have attachment to false notions. One of the false notions is my path is the best, my guru is the best, my God is the best, right? My God is so great that your God is demigod. These kind of, we see it all the time, and this has been the bane of, for many years people have struggled with just these kind of things. What is it to you? Your God, that God. You focus on your path. Why should we say my path is better than your path? Why are we bothered about that person's path? We are only interested in self-inquiry. Self-realization means what? Our realization. So why should we look outside and say, my realization is better than your realization? All this is also moha, because we are moha and mada also, pride, that I am great, you are nothing in front of me. So we are only playing ego games by entering into. I've had enough of these people who say that no, no, your guru is just a villager, he doesn't know anything. My guru is so intelligent, he got some Nobel Prize or whatever. You know what I mean? So they, judge their gurus based on number of followers. I have so many followers, so my guru has the most number of followers, so he is the real guru. Or my religion has the most number of, people who follow. So people who follow are much more. So that is the best religion. So, see, we are not interested in going into debate. Focus on your path. Give up attachment to this and this pride to this notion that my path is best, that path is bad, this path is good. And don't compare. Don't compare yourself or your path or your guru or your method with anybody else. Just focus on your own thing. Right? Focus on the process. Focus on the controllables. Focus on what you have to do today, what you need to do now in this current moment, what can we do to help ourselves, right? So these are the 6 enemies of any spiritual seeker. So now let us look at the common obstacles on the spiritual path. The common obstacles are twofold. One is mental and the other one is physical. Now we'll go a little deeper. So the first mental obstacle is self-doubt. Am I on the right path? Am I on the wrong path? Am I doing something wrong? Am I doing something right? I don't think this is right. I don't think I should be doing this. I don't think my guru has any, power to teach me what I need to do. So these are all self-doubt. Anything to do with the path. Maybe I should change my guru because he's not good enough. This self-doubt happens without trying out, without working on yourself, without working on the path sufficiently. You have to give anything sufficient time, and you have to apply energy, you have to give it time, and you have to be steadfast in your practice. Only when we are doing these things after prolonged years, we will know whether our path is right or wrong. Right? So stop doubting yourself. See, this self-doubt is the enemy of practice. Because as soon as you doubt, you don't want to practice. I don't think this is right. This is giving me a headache. So I'll stop for a few days. This is the end of practice. You're never going to start again. And even if you start again you're going to quit. So self-doubt will help you quit. It will never help you become steadfast and consistent and disciplined on the path. So the first enemy is self-doubt. The second enemy, which is connected with self-doubt, the second enemy, which is cousin of self-doubt, is fear and anxiety, right? I know people who are scared to meditate. They say, if I meditate, I might see God, right? If I meditate, I might have some experience, or I might give up my family, I might give up my money, I might give up all attachments. So all these irrational fears are that if I meditate, I might die, or something bad will happen when I meditate, right? And suppose some movement of energy they experience in their body, immediately they are overcome by fear. Will I leave the body? Will I die? These kind of irrational fears come, and these fears are good. Let them come, let them go. Watch the fear, right? With self-doubt, you have to completely get rid of self-doubt, because self-doubt is of no use to a spiritual seeker. It is an enemy. But with fear is very useful, right? Fear is our survival instinct. So we cannot completely be rid of fear on the onset. We have to witness this fear. Let it come, let it arise. Watch this fear, right? Watch it rise, watch it fall, watch it rise, watch it fall. And then it will take you deeper. This fear will help you understand this better. On the other side of fear, you will find all these different levels of existence, which you will not find if you don't overcome that fear. Fear has to be overcome, but not by suppressing it or by saying it's nothing. Fear can only be overcome by looking at it, by looking at the root of fear. Let the fear arise. Just witness it. Equanimity. See, on the spiritual path, the foremost important aspect of spirituality is equanimity. If you are not equanimous, samabhava, samatva, if you are not equanimous, if you are not looking at good and bad with equal eyes, you are bound to fail from the onset. From the first day, you will fail. If without equanimity, you cannot attain anything in the world outside, maybe. But on the spiritual path, the foremost important thing is equanimity. So whenever fear arises, watch it equanimously, let it arise, let it fall, it's okay. Right? On the other side of fear, you will find different higher levels of existence which you never thought you exist, right? In your own consciousness. I'm not talking about the world outside. Another side effect of spirituality is sadness, is depression. I will tell you how they are connected. Many people who are depressed find a way out of depression by spirituality, by entering the spiritual path. So there are many people who are depressed when they cannot find help with medication, when they cannot find help with their friends, love, family, all these things. Then they seek out spirituality. Somehow they find the answer in spirituality and they enter into spirituality through because of depression. So depression in a way is a boon for them because they find the path because of depression, and then they find in the spiritual on the spiritual path on the spiritual path they find ways to overcome their depression. And there is another way where people mistake their current situation for depression, right? So I will tell you a brief story. Rama, we all know of Lord Ram, who's the son of Dasharatha and is an incarnation of Mahavishnu. So in Yoga Vasishta, it is written that Dasharatha did not know what to do with Rama, because Rama, at the age of around 15, 16, he looked depressed. He was not interested in his kingly duties, princely duties. He was not interested in the royal court, all the great foods, all the dances, all the beautiful things of the palace. He had given up. He was not interested. He would sleep on the bare ground in the palace, right? And he would not eat the delicious fruits and all that. So the king, his father, King Dasharatha, became agitated with this idea that his eldest son is not showing any interest in the material life. So he thought this person is into depression and somehow I must do something to bring him out of depression, right? And so he asked his Vaidyas to give, his doctors to give him some medication and all these things. Nothing helped. And Rama was not showing any interest in becoming a king. So this troubled the king deeply. Finally, he spoke to his Rajguru. His guru was Vashishta. So he asked Brahmarshi or Vashishta on what to do. He said, let me, please come and talk to my son. I think he's very depressed and I don't know what to do to make him all right again. So that time Vashishta came and he spoke to Rama. But when he spoke to Rama, he realized this is not regular depression. Rama was not depressed like normal people would be depressed. He had attained a sense of vairagya because he saw the impermanence of the world outside. He had traveled with sage Vishwamitra and he had seen the world outside and he had lost interest in the world outside because he saw death, he saw suffering, he saw old age and all these things. And he saw the impermanence of money, of royal pleasures, all these things. It was similar to the story of you can say Gautama Buddha also in some ways, but he attained a deep sense of vairagya. He said, what can all these princely garments and jewelry and all these maid servants and all that, what joy can they bring? So the point is, Vashishta understood that Rama was not an ordinary 16-year-old, that this was not ordinary depression, this is Vairagya. So it is very much Vairagya sometimes can be mistaken for depression. It is not depression, it is Vairagya. So suppose you find yourself losing interest in the world, you don't want to talk to friends. The same friends you are friends with from many years, now suddenly you're not interested in talking to them. You don't want to go to parties. You're not interested in dressing up, right? You're not interested in showing off, or you're not interested in earning money. All these things are. It's possible that it is not depression, but it is vairagya. Vairagya is detachment from the world, and you are seeking. See, how do we know that it is not depression and vairagya? If spiritual ideas excite you, if spiritual ideas interest you, if the stories of the rishis, of the Vedas, right? If you are interested in meditating, if you seek isolation and you want to, let's say you want to sit in a forest or you want to walk in a, let's say in jungle or something like that, you want to go to the mountains or you want to go to some temples. If these ideas interest you much more, then that means that you're not in depression, you're going through vairagya, which is a very, very good thing, because vairagya is the onset of awakening, right? Once vairagya awakens in the person, then self-realization is guaranteed to such a person. It's only a matter of time. And then there are some more physical manifestations of the spiritual, on the spiritual seeker's path. One is some slowing down of metabolism. This is a odd thing. Not many people speak about it, or not many people have written about this. But there's something, the metabolism of the individual either slows down rapidly, so suddenly you don't feel hungry, and you feel like you might put on some weight, or it might even become faster. So there is a rapid change in metabolism depending on the manifestation of energy within you. Suppose you are opening up certain purva samskaras, it's very much possible that that can fasten the metabolism rate or slow down the metabolism rate. And this is done by like Siddha Purushas, or this is done by yogis voluntarily. A yogi can voluntarily reduce the speed of metabolism. He can slow down the metabolic rate in his body. He can slow down the breathing. He can slow down the metabolic rate in the body. But initially, for beginners, it is very much possible that they go haywire compared to the life they were leading before. So that is one is metabolic rate. And the second thing is changes in the body. So bodily doshas. So every person in Ayurveda, there's something called Vata, Pitta and Kapha. So you could have a Kapha body and a Vata mind, or you could have a Vata Pitta mind and a Kapha body. Kapha mind and Vata Pitta body. Any of these combinations a person could happen. There could be changes also in the body type also. It might appear like he is going through changes. These are all temporary. So I was at the Kumbh Mela in Allahabad many years ago, maybe 15 years ago or something. And one of the people I met there, he was a youngster from, I think, Hyderabad or something like that. And he had met a guru over there, and he got diksha from the guru, right? And I had met this person. I had met this kid just on the first day of Kumbh Mela, and I met him again on the 14th day. By the 14th day, his body had changed rapidly. I could not believe it's the same person. It was at 14 days at the Kumbh Mela in Allahabad, in Prayag, and his body had changed completely, right? And after the diksha, suddenly there was a lot of phlegm coming out of his nose. So this can be very easily mistaken for, okay, it was very cold, or he was, we were all dipping in the Ganga. It could be that. But even the pores, even from the pores of his skin, I could see like kapha elements coming out, right? So he was going through a lot, and he would sit and his body would shake continuously, because this was something called Shaktipat. His guru had given him a diksha, and his body was not yet completely ready for that. So it's possible that when a guru diksha gives diksha, or some changes happen automatically during your own practice, that the body goes through a lot. And I met him again many years later, and everything had settled. So a lot of these things are temporary, but these changes can occur, right? These changes could occur. And then there are pricking sensations on the body. You feel like somebody is poking you with a pin, whether you're meditating or when you're sleeping, or just random times in your day. Somebody is pricking you with a pin, or there could be sensations of heat and cold, severe heat in certain parts of the body, or you feel like a numbness, or feel very cold in certain parts. This is also done. Tingling sensation. Many people feel tingling sensation. Many people feel like a feather is being rubbed on the body, on the skin. So all these things. You can feel very heavy also. Suddenly you feel very heavy. It's not that you put on weight. You could just feel that sense of heaviness, or you could feel sense of expansion. These are, I won't say obstacles, but they can be obstacles. I will tell you why in the next segment. But you could feel very heavy, or you could feel very light. And one of the main problems is you could feel very airy, or not being grounded. There is a sense of not being grounded, like your feet is not on the ground. I went through this in 2004 or 2005. I was just coming from the outskirts of the city. I had spent a few days in in a kutir and all that. After all this, in an ashram, and when I was coming back in around 2004 or 5, suddenly when I was in the car, I was driving with a friend next to me, and when I was driving in the car, suddenly I felt like the person who's driving is not me, right? The person who's driving is like a big bubble. It's like a big Like it was like a big bubble, like my aura or whatever you can call it, my body expanded into a big bubble. And I became this, I felt like I was this tiny particle in this bubble. So I didn't have a sense of driving, and this was already midnight, and I was not drunk or I was not high on any drugs or anything like that. This was purely like a physiological experience I had. And then I felt like I was a tiny speck in this big bubble, and this bubble was driving the car. So I had no sense of doership. I did not feel for a second that I was driving the car at all. And then this was maybe 2 hours of driving like this, where I was not driving, the bubble was driving the car. And then when I reached home, I didn't feel grounded. So the sense is this happened spontaneously. I did not feel grounded. And I went to sleep. And when even in the sleep, I never felt like when you close your eyes, you feel this is my head and that those are my toes and these are my fingers. You can feel all this. I could not feel anything. I just felt like an expanse of, it was not even light, it was just an expanse of like a airy feeling, right? Like a space, right? But a defined space. It was not just cosmic consciousness or something, it was just a defined space. And then my friend also had come to the room. I did not know when he left, nothing happened. I had no awareness of my surroundings. And the next day, I woke up very late. I don't know, maybe it was 11 or 12 um, in the afternoon. And when I woke up, my father actually came and woke me up. But I was not aware that it was my father. So I opened my eyes. I'm looking at this person, but I cannot recognize that face. This might sound very scary. This might sound very scary to people who could be hearing this, but I am just saying that these things are very much possible. For not even a brief moment, for maybe a minute or 2 minutes, I could not recognize this face. And he was looking at me, talking to me, and I was looking at him, but with no reactions. Right? Then again, I went back to sleep. He was worried, obviously. He was wondering what happened to me. Maybe there was some problem. And then slowly, what happens in the beginning stages, your nerves are not capable of these experiences. So, most of the time, these experiences cannot be taken in and absorbed. So because the nerves are not yet, the amount of energy that passes through your nerves is a lot more than, or the not just the amount, but also the quality of energy is very different. Quality of prana that passes through your body, the quality of prana that passes through your body during the beginning stages, or when you have sudden moments of like some kind of revelations or some kind of experience, the energy cannot be withheld in these nerves. So this is the reason the body goes kind of little bit out of balance, but it finds balance over a period of time. It finds balance, and then that I found grounding, right? Just I did not stop the process. I relaxed for a few days. I ate normal food. Whenever I used to feel airy like this, or whenever I would feel this expanse, I would eat, right? I would eat sometimes onions, like food that are more base, right? More tamasic, and that would help me find grounding. So these things can happen. I'm not saying it happens to everybody, and I'm not claiming it to be a great spiritual experience or something, but all these kind of strange experiences could happen to anybody. These are all, it's all part of the process. And what are these experiences because of? What are these obstacles also caused by? There are three things. One is, the main thing you can say is Purva Samskara. Samskara is habit patterns from the past lives or from the past. It doesn't have to be past lives. I mean, usually it's many past lives that have made you the person you are. But even in this life, there are many life changing experiences that shape your personality, right? So, this shaping of personality, the tools that shape your personality are samskaras. And your habits, because of those, is called vasana. Your habit patterns are in the are externalized, right? Those are called vasanas. Vasanas are externalized samskaras. Samskaras are purva vasanas, or past life tendencies that are suppressed, that are in your subconscious, and from there your personality is created by these habit patterns. So one of the main reasons for all these obstacles are self-inflicted and self-caused obstacles and desires for self-realization. Like, you have a desire for self-realization. Why do I have a desire to talk? Why do I have a desire for self-realization? Why do I have these ideas? From my childhood I have had. Why do I have had? Nobody taught me. Nobody in my family was this spiritually bent or it. So my analysis is obviously it is because of purva samskaras. It is because of past life tendencies. We have lived a certain way in our past lives, and that shape our life today. The second thing is practice. Good practice, bad practice. Your spiritual path, your spiritual practices. Good practice will give you a certain set of experiences, will take you in a certain direction. Bad practice will continuously will shrink your consciousness and create problems for you on the spiritual path. And the third thing, which we all deal with continuously, is something called the environment. Right? This environment includes nurture, how we were nurtured from childhood, how you were, brought up, how was your surrounding when you were brought up, how did your parents teach you, train you as a child, and also the food you eat. Right? Nurture, and it includes food, and also includes the environment where you are living right now. Right? Suppose you are living in Mumbai, suppose you are living in Borivali or one of some places in Mumbai where there is a lot of people and you're fighting for daily activities. You have to take the train, you're fighting with a lot of people just to get a seat in the train. So this shapes you differently. This makes you a different person. So your environment plays a huge role in how when you're struggling for, let's say, daily bread. It's very different to it's very difficult for you to focus on I am the self, I am the Brahman, I am not this body, right? These kind of ideas don't come naturally to a person who's struggling for bread. Only when you have all your basics taken care of, then to a large extent it is easier to focus on the spiritual path. It is the exception, not so. It is only it is not the norm anyway. So that is one thing. So environment plays a very big role in our spiritual process. So how do we know that our practice is on the right path? How do we know our spiritual practice, our meditation is good? Right? So there are three main ways to see that our spiritual practice is on the right path. If your emotions are being released, unfurled, right? Suddenly there is an eruption of emotions. That means you are on the right path. Right? Your emotions suddenly come out and you feel deeply angry or aroused or hateful or something. You have a lot of energy. Sometimes energy is released. So anything that unleashes within you some kind of emotion in a very strong manner, that means you are on the right path. But from here again, if you don't focus, if you don't become aware of these emotions and equanimously without getting attached to anything, right? Suppose some thought arises that I hate this person. If you immediately grab onto that thought, again you're lost, right? So release of emotions is that is a guarantee that you're on the right path. First is a release of emotions. Healing processes happen automatically. See, you're personally in your body. Why are we? What are the benefits of the spiritual process, right? So when you're on the path of spirituality, automatically we start avoiding negative circumstances, negative people. You become sensitive, right? You become sensitive to positive and negative vibrations. So automatically you feel like, okay, this person, maybe it's best if I just take a step back and stay away from this person. I'm not feeling so good being around in this environment, right? So you start stepping away from environment which is negative. You start stepping away from people and situations that are negative. You stop moving in those circles which are toxic, so to say. So you become aware. Sometimes before we might not be aware of this person or this situation is potentially negative, right? So I'm talking in the middle. This is not on the final stages of self realization. As a beginner, as an intermediate, you will feel like this person or this event or this circumstance might not might hamper me negatively, and I don't want to be part of it. So automatically we start moving away. That is one step externally. Internally, what happens? Suppose there is some kind of a virus, some disease. You learn to heal yourself, and this process of healing happens automatically. A person who says I'm going to heal myself is a beginner, right? Because for when you're an advanced sadhaka, healing in the body happens automatically. Any virus, anything that is happening, I'm not telling don't take medications or don't go to a doctor and all these things. Please continue doing those things. But I'm saying the body is very much capable of healing itself. The body like has its own immunity and it knows how to fight diseases. So when you are not interfering constantly with how the body functions, automatically when you're sleeping or when you're meditating, automatically the body heals itself continuously. Not just the body, even the mind. So a lot of our negative tendencies that we carried for many years, a lot of negative habits that we carried for many years, all these habits start dropping away, right? All the negative patterns start dropping away. Suppose you're a liar, you tell small lies, not big lies. If you're late for a meeting, you'll say I've left. All these kind of small things also drop away. You will find it very difficult to lie. You will find very difficult to cheat. You cannot cheat in an exam, right? If you find some, in an exam, even if there's an opportunity to cheat, you will not cheat. You will not lie, right? If somebody does something wrong to you, you will find it very difficult to scold that person. So these things start happening automatically, and healing happens automatically in the body. So if when the healing starts happening in your body, suppose a disease that could take you 10 days would take you 8 days before to heal from, it takes you 2 days now, know that you're on the right path. So the first is unleashing of emotions. The second is healing that happens automatically. And third thing that happens is purification. Again, like I said, purification of not just your mental patterns and your physical, your body, but also everything around you. There is a complete washing away of negativity. There is a complete washing away, and there is streamlining of your life, right? We have 100 habits. Suppose, let's say we were smoking, drinking, doing drugs. You're womanizing, or addicted to sex, you're addicted to scrolling and mobiles and devices, or you are a workaholic and it is hurting your work life balance. A lot of these things that was taking you away from harmony drops automatically, right? And your life starts revolving around the spiritual path. Suppose you sit at 4:30 a.m. in the morning, you sit and meditate for 2 hours, right? So your life starts revolving around those 2 hours. Let's say 4:30 to 6:30 you meditate, then from 6:30 onwards you read, let's say you read Mahabharata, or you read some Shastra, Yoga Vashishta or Ashtavakra Gita, and then you go for a walk. Then you eat something healthy. Before you were eating, let's say you're eating red meat. Now your body might not be able to handle these things, right? You become vegetarian. Automatically, lot of these things happen. I'm not telling it happens to everybody. For everybody, the process is unique, right? But when life starts reorganizing itself for you to be on the spiritual path, know that you're on the right path, right? Lot of negative habits. I know a lot of people who quit smoking, quit drinking. There are many things. Constantly they were in fights with their spouses or those people around them. Now they find it difficult to be angry that same way, right? So anger arises and falls, but that rage that constantly troubled them in earlier life, you don't find it now anymore. So these are some of the good things also that happen, and with this you know that you're on the right path. So how do you know that your practice is wrong, right? How do you know your practice is wrong? How do you know you're not on the right spiritual path? First thing is loss of equanimity. Second thing is imbalance. Third is you have an onslaught of negative thoughts. Fourth reason is you're critical of others. Fifth is no apathy or love or kindness towards people around you. And the sixth is you're confused. You're constantly confused. You don't know what decisions to take. You're angry, and then you're hateful. With these six things, you know that you're not on the right path, right? Because if you ever lose equanimity, regardless of who you are, if you lose equanimity, it cannot be said that you're on the right path. Equanimity is paramount, right? Constantly being equanimous, constantly not moving away from raga or dvesha, as in we don't want to get attached to something, or we don't want to get repulsed by something, right? Constantly jumping and holding on to something to become attached or to become repulsed. I love this, I don't love this, I hate this. being free of both these things, being equanimous, being balanced, being in harmony with yourself constantly. It's like a muscle. You have to keep training it in order to be strong in that. Equanimity is a muscle that you have to work on, right? Only when you work on it, you will attain perfect equanimity, right? And perfect equanimity itself is self-realization. Perfect equanimity is that equanimity where you don't have to put effort to be equanimous, right? So generally what happens when you look at people around you and you don't find love, you don't want to help anybody, you find only things that are bad, right? I don't like this person is not good. Some people think it is spirituality, right? This person is very negative, that person is very negative. This I don't like this person. So constantly they become hateful of everybody. And if you find everybody around you negative, then know that people around you are not negative, you are negative, right? If you can't find a single positive thing about people around you, that means you are not positive, that means you are not on the right path, right? Because one of the main things of spirituality or spiritual seeking is you will develop mitra bhavana, you will develop love for people around you, you will have kindness. If you see a person suffering, automatically you cannot, you want to share, right? You cannot, whatever you have, you want to give freely, you want to share with people around you. So criticism is okay, you feel critical of somebody is doing something bad, we all feel the need to criticize or feel that okay, he might be doing something wrong. So critical thinking, we are not against it, but constantly being in that state of criticism where this is wrong, that is wrong, this person is wrong, that they are leading bad lives. So all these negative emotions, constantly dwelling on these negative emotions and not positive emotions, show that you are not on the right path. So what is required? Realignment of your goals, of your processes, of your teaching. Am I following my guru's teachings well? Am I focusing on the meditation the way I need to focus on? Right? Because you might be thinking I'm meditating, but when you sit down for that 1 hour, if you're just dreaming and you're going behind thoughts, then you're not meditating. Right? That is not meditation. Just sitting for 2 hours is not meditation. Focusing, dhyana, dharana, ididhyasana, samadhi, abidance in that goal, abidance in that object of meditation, focusing on that object of meditation, giving up all other thoughts at all costs. Only that is dhyana. Only that will lead to self-realization, right? Now, let us talk about the solutions to ease all these problems, right? Now, we need to eradicate the obstacles that are on the spiritual path. And can we do so? Of course, we can do. That is only the process. How do we eradicate these problems? How do we move away from negativity, move away from base consciousness and ascent? How do we attain self realization? How do we grow on the spiritual path? First thing is develop mitra bhavana. Mitra is basically friendship. The Buddha, 2500 years ago, he said that I will be back in 2500 years, but I'll come as Maitreya. What is Maitreya? What does Maitreya mean? Maitreya only means Mitra. That person who is friendly is Maitreya. So what does that mean? What Buddha meant is he cannot come back as Buddha, as Gautama Buddha, Siddhartha. He has to come back as a friend, right? So now in this yuga, that is 2500 years already has passed. In this time, what is important is Mitra Bhavana. This is the path. This is the path to self-realization. This is the path to eradicating all your negativity with the world outside. See, we don't. In order to ascend, in order to be on the spiritual path, first thing is we should not be in conflict with people around us. We should not be in conflict with nature. We should not be in conflict with our environment. We have to make peace with people around us. We have to make peace with the society and the world in general. We cannot be at war with the world and say, I will attain self realization. So, Mitra Bhavana is, it includes not, it includes ahimsa. I am not going to fight against anybody. I am not interested in debating with anybody. I don't want to prove to anybody that I'm, on the spiritual path. I am great. My path is the great. I am not interested in making anybody else also come into the spiritual path. If you are saying, I want this person to practice spirituality, this person, no, that is not the way. No unsolicited advice, right? Only if people are seeking that from you, feel free to share it freely, right? But no forcing others to say, come and listen to me, my path, my this. No, that is not the way of spirituality. So the first thing is Mitra Bhavana, means be loving, be kind, be helpful. Your life on this planet should be a blessing for those around you. I'm not telling it doesn't have to be a blessing to the world. Only those around you, your friends around you, your family. Be pleasant to them. Be kind to them. You don't have to do something for the world, right? Just people around you. Mitra Bhavana. This will eradicate the conflict we have with nature around us. Not just people around you, animals, your environment. Keep your environment clean. If you're living like keep your room clean, keep your house clean, keep your body clean, keep your mind clean, right? And be friendly towards all beings, whoever you come across in the world. That is Mitra Bhavana. Second thing is forgive. Without forgiveness, you cannot move forward in life. Not just on the spiritual path. Generally, you cannot move forward without forgiveness. Somebody has done something bad to you in the past, some life, some childhood, somebody has hurt you. No, I don't like this person. I don't want to, think of this person. Forgive. Forgiveness is the first step towards letting go. If you forgive that person, you are not freeing that person from you are freeing yourself from the clutches of that person, because as long as you don't forgive, you are constantly thinking about that negative experience or that negative person in your life. Whether he is right, I am right, all these things don't matter. Forgiveness, right? Mitra bhavana. Second is forgiveness. Forgive it. Forgive that person. Forgive whatever happened. So it happened. Let go. Why should I forgive? Because we don't want to hurt. See, by not forgiving, you're hurting yourself. That's all. There is no change in that person's life. We are not helping ourselves. We are hurting ourselves. First that person hurt us, now we want to hurt ourselves. So the second thing is forgiveness. Third thing is acceptance. We accept, now we are forgiven. Now we accept life as it is. This is my life. Could it be better? Of course, it could be better. Who says my life is perfect? I don't need anything more. But we have to accept life as it is. Accept things as they are. Living with acceptance is, the third step, because we cannot change the world. We cannot change the world around us. So anybody who carries notions that I will change this, I will change, we can only first start with changing ourselves, right? So the way to change ourselves is to first accept that there are some flaws with us and the world outside. When we have flaws within ourselves, how can we say that the world, should be flawless? First, work on ourselves, right? Work on our things and accept that there are flaws, accept that there are flaws in our own destiny, in our events that are happening in our life. And there are many things that we cannot change. But there are many things that we can affect changing. Those are the controllables. So focus on that. And the fourth step is called Shraddha. Shraddha and Bhakti. What is Shraddha? Unshakable faith in the Guru. Unshakable faith in Dharma. Right? The unshakable faith in these things, that your Guru and your Dharma. Whatever happens, focus on these things. Right? My Guru, whatever he has taught me, whatever the path. See, Guru, first of all, is we say Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. We say Guru is only Brahma, Guru is only Shiva, Guru is only Mahavishnu, Guru is everything. Guru is only the self. So we should have that unshakable faith that whoever you follow as your Guru, he is God himself. He is the self himself, and that he will never misguide you. See, the faith should be so much that even if the Guru is flawed, your devotion should be flawless, right? If your devotion is flawless, you will attain the goal even without the help of the Guru. The same way, Ekalavya attained his goal without the help of Dronacharya. He became an ace archer without even the support of Dronacharya, right? Similarly, you should have terrific faith in the Guru, in Guru's words, Guru Vakya, in his teachings. So if he has given you mantra diksha, you should believe by all means this mantra diksha will give you self-realization. This is the path for self-realization, and follow this. Shraddha, Bhakti. Shraddha is faith, Bhakti is devotion. Be devoted. When we say devotion, does not mean, my God, my Guru is God and start crying. No, the devotion is devotion to the path also. Means be devoted to the path, discipline, working day in and day out, following the process, meditating, whatever your Guru tells you, whatever path you're on, unshakable faith and continuous execution of the things that need to be done in order to attain your goal. one pointed focus is also devotion. Vairagya, and then we have Vairagya and Sadbhavana. Vairagya is detachment, right? What, when we are focused on the goal, just be focused on the goal. This is the path for self realization. This is what I need to do. Exclude all else from this path, right? I want to attain this. What do I need to do to attain this? And exclude unnecessary. See, attachment is just bondage. It's not that just by becoming attached to the idea of earning money, you will earn money. That is wrong, right? Attachment is a appendix. It is not necessary. You can still earn money without having attachment, or you can still love your wife, or you can still love your children without attachment, right? Attachment is, I love this person, now this person has to love him back in the way I want. This is attachment, right? Be free from attachment. It is an unnecessary appendix which is not needed in spiritual practice at all. Then finally we have Sadbhavana. Sadbhavana is very simple. Think good, do good, and be good, right? Your thinking should be good, your actions, your practice should be good, and you should speak good also. Be good as in speak good also. Whenever somebody comes across you, you meet anybody, don't speak words that will trouble anybody, don't speak words that will hurt anybody, don't speak lies, falsehood. Your words should be measured. What is the point of exaggerating or speaking too much? All these things are of no value, right? So these three things: thinking, speech also, and action. Let us now say we have done all these things, and what do we finally achieve? Well, let's say we have whatever we have practiced the yamas, niyamas, all the good things, whatever that needs to be done on the spiritual path, we are doing. Now, what do we gain? Now we have overcome all the negative obstacles on the spiritual path, right? And now, what is the result? The result are sixfold. So now that we are on the final stages, right? Let's say we are on the higher stages of awakening. Now where are we? We have overcome all our base obstacles. Now what have we achieved, right? So now we attain bliss, gnana, that is awakening of intelligence, siddhis, right? Spiritual experiences, darshan of gods and goddesses, and bhava samadhi. So let's first talk about, everybody knows about siddhis. Siddhis are, there are something called ashtasiddhis. Ashtasiddhis are anima, lagima, like this. There are many things. You can become as small as an atom. You can grow as big as like as big as you want, right? You can disappear into light. So there are, you would have read, we have all read stories in our Puranas, and we have read even stories of like Ramana Maharshi, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. We have read Trilinga Swami. We have read enough stories, Lahiri Mahashai. So we have heard of all these yogis and siddhas and all who have a lot of siddhis, right? So that is one of the side effects you can see of spiritual awakening, right? Or when you're going ascending on the path of spiritual awakening, on path of self-realization, you might attain siddhis. There are small siddhis also where you can read, you can look at somebody and tell their past, future, and present. Whatever that person is going through, whatever, you can read the thoughts, or you can see the past lives of yourself and those people around you. You can see future events, right? There are many cases where even Neem Karoli Baba, he had so many siddhis, right? There are so many yogis with so many siddhis, and we have read about it in the books. I have met people in the Kumbh Mela, at the Kumbh Mela in the Himalayas, where they could go into Jiva Samadhi, like going underground for 10 days, 21 days, go underwater for 8 days, 10 days, live without breathing also, and then come out of that as if nothing happened. There are people who have lived for 300, 400 years. There are people who don't eat, falaharis who eat only fruit. There are people who jalahari who drink only water, right? And they live for like 100, 150 years and all this. These are all siddhis. On the spiritual path, there's a high chance of, if you're on the path, or if you constantly go to these temples or ashrams and you're visiting all these places, there is a chance that you will run into somebody like this. I have met a lot of people who live like this. I have met a person in Badrinath who lives in a cave for 6 months, like all year, but 6 months under the snow. So he doesn't eat, doesn't do anything. For 6 months, he is hidden in a cave within when the snow is very terrible over there. So these are all, you can say it's almost too common in Indian subcontinent. You will find a lot of people who attend a lot of siddhis. And then there is something called, there is bliss, right? There's Ananda. So people experience Ananda when you're on the path. These are all, you know that you're ascending on the path. Suddenly when there is uncausal love, right? There is no cause for this bliss. There is just a deep sense of bliss, or there's this deep sense of being like showered by like light or love, and this sense of freedom, right? Sense of joy. This is also there. And awakening of intelligence. Suddenly people become extraordinarily intelligent, right? Dumb people can suddenly speak. People, like, you can look at something and completely they can read it. If they just flip through a book, they will memorize the whole book. So even this kind of mental faculties also are awakened by uh, heightened spiritual practice. So even for me, in 2005 or 2006, I used to, when I was meditating one day, and suddenly I had the sense of some light around me, right? I was feeling like there are some light orbs around me. And then when I opened my eyes, I saw near the window like a big orb, a big ball of light coming towards me. And I got so excited because I was much younger. I was just out of my teens and early in my 20s, and I had never seen any of these things. But suddenly I saw, and I had heard that. I mean, I've always been an avid reader. From childhood, I've been reading spiritual books and all that, right? So I was very excited to suddenly be recipient of this spiritual experience, right? And I looked at that light orb, and my entire body like danced in excitement. I was so thrilled to be having some kind of a spiritual experience. And then I would look at these orbs everywhere. I would look at these orbs in plants, and I would, even when I traveled to the Himalayas, I would see them moving above my head. And initially, I never spoke anything because I was like, I didn't know what to tell or who to tell. And slowly, and I'm an introvert also. So once I started speaking about my experiences, I started telling people, like, I looked at this orb, and it became sort of like a show off, right? I was telling, no, no, I'm looking at light orbs, I'm looking at things moving. It gave me a sense of like some status in society, like I am somebody who knows, who was experienced, or who had some spiritual experiences, right? I wanted to feel like I have some authority on this, that I am an authority in spiritual experiences because I've had this experience. Now whatever I say is true. And lo and behold, the moment I started talking about my spiritual experience like this, there were a few more things small things. As soon as I started speaking about them, I stopped seeing. So no light orbs, no visions of any light or anything. So completely stopped for many years. So this was in 2005. For many years, I never understood why this was happening, and I would constantly meditate and try to again look at this. Where can I find the orb? So even now, sometimes when I'm meditating, I open my eyes and look at the windows. So this is a bad habit, right? So these kind of things, whenever you have some kind of a spiritual experience, we want to hold on to it. We say, no, no, we want this. I want to hold on to this, and I want to make something more out of this, right? Suppose you have some kind of even a like a dream, a spiritual dream, where you see some devata or some energy, something. You want to repeat this. So again, this becomes an impediment on the path, because we are not here for this. We are not here to see a spiritual orb. Me seeing spiritual orbs or light orbs did not change my life. It did not, maybe as a thing of show off, right? As a thing of like, you know what, I have seen this. Something like that it might have, but it affected me adversely. It did not help me, because these kind of spiritual experiences don't change your life for the better. You see something and then it disappears. What changed in you? Same anger, same problems, same stress, same levels of anxiety or fear, they continued, right? So these cannot help in the long run if you get attached to them. So this was another thing. And then I know, I mean, I have a friend who lives, who I had met many years ago, and her father was in the army, right? He was a advanced spiritual, he was a meditator, and he was in the army, and he used to chant, right? He used to do mantra japa for many years. And I think the japamala was what he was using broke, or it was not proper. I don't remember the details, But it so happened that he had a dream. He was a bhakta of Lord Rama. It so happened that one day he had a dream of Rama appearing before him and giving him a new Rudraksha mala. Right? In the night he appeared and he gave him a new Rudraksha mala and said, you meditate with this. And when this person woke up the next day, he had the Rudraksha mala in his hands. Right? So he took it and he was so excited, I'm sure. And then he continued. So these kind of experiences happen to a lot of sadhakas. But he never spoke about it till he was alive. Only when he was about, like he passed away, he told his daughter before passing away, because he knew that he was going to pass away, he gave her a few things before passing away and he told. So this is the right way to live. See, every small, you can always journal it. I'm not against journaling. You have some spiritual experience, you have some vision of a deity, and all these things you can write for yourself. But never speak about it to the world outside. Never compare your spiritual experiences with the world outside. I made this mistake for many years and I suffered for it. And I will tell you from experience that kindly don't compare your spiritual experiences with others. Don't tell anybody what you are going through. Don't preach to anybody or don't give any mantras or heal anybody and say, I will help you heal and all these things, right? So this is one of the things. This reminds me of a very beautiful story, right? So this person, like I was telling you, he had a darshan of Lord Rama in his dream, right? So there is a very famous sage from, I think, 15th century or something like that, from Maharashtra. His name is Namdev Maharaj. So they are all Namdev was a devotee of Lord Vittala. Lord Vittala is Vittala Panduranga, is the incarnation of Mahavishnu. Right? So if you go to Pandharpur in Maharashtra, Murti of Vittala is there, Lord Vittala is there. So Namdev is one of the most famous devotees of Lord Vittala. So it so happened that Namdev Maharaj and Gnandev Maharaj and their retinue was passing by some village, and they decided to meet this another devotee whose name was Kumbhara. Gorokumbhara was a potter, right? He was a potter. He used to make clay pots and all that. And he was also a devotee of Vittala. So when they went, Namdev Maharaj is very famous. Namdev Maharaj who used to talk to Krishna. He used to talk to Vittala. The child, Vittala as a child would come to him and they would play games and they would talk and he would feed the deity and all that in flesh and blood. So he was a very great devotee of Lord Vittala, right? So when they went to Ghor Kumbhara's that hut, Gnandev Maharaj, Gnandev is the other sage who was senior. Jokingly, he told Ghor Kumbhara to see whose head is fully baked, as in who is a fully baked devotee and who is half baked. So Ghor Kumbhara went around with his stick and he started knocking on the heads of all the sages who had come to his house. And Namdev Maharaj took offense to this. Right? He's like, how can somebody knock on my head and all that? Because he had a subtle, that thing is there that I am a devotee of Lord Vittala, right? You're playing with Krishna himself, right? So what more proof do you want of your greatness? So when Gaur Kumbhara came and knocked on his head, he said, this pot is half-baked. This person is half-baked. This bhakta is half-baked. This enraged Namdev Maharaj and he got very wild. He said, how can anyone call me half-baked? I am devotee of Krishna, I am devotee of Vitthala. If somebody calls me half-baked, that means he is insulting the Lord himself. So he enraged, he left the hut and he ran to Padrapur and he met Vitthala. He went into meditation and he called out for Vitthala and Vitthala came to him. He said, this person has called me half-baked. How can it be? How can I be half-baked? I'm playing with you. I'm feeding you. I'm dancing with you. I must be, I am fully baked. I am your devotee. How can this person call me half-baked? Then Vitthala says, this answer I cannot give you, but Kumbhara is not wrong. But I cannot give you that final answer. Why he called you that? Why don't you go to this? I have another devotee. His name is Vishobha Kechar. So why don't you go meet Vishobha Kechar and then he will give you the answer. Saying this, Vithala disappeared. So Namdev Maharaj went looking for this Vishobha Kechar in a forest somewhere, and in a dilapidated temple at Vishobha Kechar, an old man was lying down. But when he went in, he saw Vishobha Kechar's leg, his feet was on a Shivlinga. The Shivling, you know what a Shivling is, right? So looking at that, Namdev Maharaj got wild, because it is a great insult to Shiva, right? So even though he worships Vithala, Shiva also you cannot disrespect, right? So in that moment he got very wild, and he started screaming at Vishobha. He said, "Move your leg, you old man. What is wrong with you? How can you rest your feet on Shivalinga? It is blasphemy, right? You cannot do that." So when he tells Vishobha that, Vishobha tells him, "Okay, child, no problem. I'll move it. I'm too old. You move it and put it somewhere where there is no Shivalinga." So the story goes, there are many different versions of this story. The story goes, wherever Namdev put his feet, that old man's feet, under that feet he would find another Shivalinga. So it was an illusion. For him, it was an illusory thing, but wherever he put his feet, Shivlinga would arise, or there was a Shivlinga there. So there was not a single place where he could put his feet. Then he asked Vishobha, he said, "What is this, madness? I am not able to understand. What are you trying to do? What is happening? I cannot believe this." He said, "Everything is Shiva. There is no place where there is no Shiva." So you thinking Vithala plays only with you, right? That child Vithala plays only with you. Lord Vithala is only your plaything. You are only your playmate. And you look at everybody else as inferior to you. You are not looking at them as Vithala. Says Vithala is in all beings. Vithala is everybody. Vithala is in the Murti of Pandrapur. He is also in Gnandev. He is also in Gorokumbara. He is in all beings. So never separate the two. You have separated Vithala as separate from the world. So that is why that you are not fully baked. Something like this, and then Namdev understands the folly in his outlook towards this, and he takes up Vishobha as his guru, and the rest is history. Namdev Maharaj, his fame has only grown from that. He did not fall because of his one act of with act of rage or whatever at Gurukumbara. So even though he was shown his place, meeting Gurukumbara helped him to attain the self, right? To see that same self in all beings, see that Vithala in all beings. Similarly, we must also see Vithala in all beings, have sadbhavana for all beings, and look at the world outside and say everything is the self, and give everybody that due respect that is needed. Realize that you are the Vithala yourself. Vithala is in your own heart also, right? He does not only stay in Pandrapur. He shines in all beings as the self. So here is final summary. What are some things we can do just to end this conversation? The first thing is, don't give up till you realize the self. Whether you're doing mantra japa, you're meditating on the self, you're doing atma vichara, means inquiring into the self, whatever your spiritual path is, do not stop till you achieve the goal. That is a given. So the first step is, don't stop. No matter what you can do, whatever is sustainable. If you can do 21 minutes a day, you can meditate 40 minutes a day, whatever it is to sustain yourself, do it. And see, one of the most important things is satsang. Whenever you can meet up with like-minded people, whenever you can meet devotees of your guru or God, spend time singing the glories of God, spend time reading books, spend time contemplating on the self. Whatever activity can help you being focused on the spiritual path, being focused on your spiritual goal, on your goal of self-realization, do those activities. Whatever activity takes you away, give up those activities. Whether you are doing mantra japa or you are doing any other activity, any other meditation, you have to go to the root of it. Never stop outside. Whether even if you are practicing equanimity, you have to ask yourself, who is equanimous? Right? Whether you're doing vipassana, you're looking at the sensations, you have to see who is looking at the sensations. So the main thing is to not stop at the stage of dhyana, but to attain samadhi, you have to go to the root of all things. So you have to ask yourself, who is experiencing this? If any obstacle arises in your path also, who is experiencing this obstacle? Who is feeling angry? Who is who is experiencing bliss? Even if it is bliss, even if it is anything good also, We have to see who is attaining this, who is achieving this, and go to the root of these things. Third thing is sustainable method. Meditate daily at the same place, right, at the same time, and same method. Today I will do self inquiry, tomorrow I will do mantra japa, day after tomorrow I will do kundalini yoga, fourth day I will focus on my chakras, fifth day I will do tantra. This person will achieve nothing, right? This is like a person with 5 different fathers. You will not attain anything. You have one father, one guru, one God. Focus on that, meditate only on that, and one activity, one method, one technique, right? And daily, every single day, sustainable way. I'm not telling put 8 hours one day and next day you do 5 minutes, right? Sustainable. If 21 minutes is sustainable, do 21 minutes. If 30 minutes, if 40 minutes, if 1 hour, 2 hours, whatever is sustainable, continue that for as long as you possibly can, right? Don't try to break away from the path. That is a very important element. And finally, let me just say, he who sees all things in the self does not suffer. He who sees others and who sees the world as separate from him suffers. There is no joy in the finite, there is only joy in the infinite. So may you find that infinite, may you find that infinite joy and that everlasting peace.
If you like this video, hit the like button and subscribe. And thanks for watching. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below.